how are you? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. Happy Friday. This is welcome to my channel, first of all, if you're new here. This is my weekly roundup series that I've decided to start doing, where basically every Friday I want to round up this week's drama, put it into one video, and kind of talk to you guys and give you guys my opinions on it. Let's get started. So there wasn't a lot of drama that went down this week. There just wasn't, not a lot happened, which is actually a good thing. I'm one of those people that enjoys no drama time. The main thing I want to talk about today is maybe a little controversial. I really want to talk about why I personally hate family channels and family vlog channels and vlog family whatever, why I don't like family vlogging channels. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, honestly, because family vlogging channels, first of all, have so many subscribers, they make so much money, they get so many views per month, so people must like them. For a lot of these families, this is how they make their primary income. The parents don't work, nobody works. This is their job, is being a family vlogging channel. And I have a few issues with it. I need to put my hair in a poof or something because this is not working. Okay, so if you don't know who the Ace family is, don't worry, because I didn't either up until a few weeks ago. I guess the Ace family is one of the biggest vlogging channels here on YouTube. They have, I guess they just had their second daughter, and they have a little daughter who's 2 or 3, and it's the mom and the dad. I think the dad is a former sports player or something like that. I don't know. I don't watch sports really. So I guess the dad is a former sports player turned family vlogger. His wife is gorgeous. They're a very beautiful looking family, all of that. So the Ace family got into some controversy because a video of the father of the Ace family, the dad, surfaced of him taking a little girl who I believe was his younger sister or his niece, or it was a little girl. She was 4 or 5, taking her into a sex shop and bought her a lollipop that was shaped like a male genital, which watching the video is actually really kind of disturbing. First and foremost, I think there was a little bit of misinformation about the situation, not to defend any actions because what they did was still wrong, but I guess it wasn't an actual sex shop. It was a Spencer's, which if you don't know what that is, it's a novelty trick store. It's where people buy gag gifts for other people. Now, I don't think that's that much. People are defending the family saying, oh, well, it wasn't that, it was a Spencer's, which is a gag gift store, and it just has a section where there's inappropriate stuff like penises and, penis lollipops, which is what she found. I personally don't think that's a very good excuse, only because I vividly remember being a child and not being allowed in Spencer's by my parents. They definitely were because even without the sex aspect of it, Spencer's is still not really a child-friendly store. There's a lot of swear words everywhere. There's a lot of things that you typically wouldn't want a 4 to 5-year-old to see. I don't really buy that excuse that they're oh, it's just a Spencer's. You still probably shouldn't be taking a 5-year-old into Spencer's just for no reason, because realistically, since all he showed buying was the lollipop fur, they obviously weren't in there for a purpose or a reason. There was no reason for them to be in there other than to just joke around, in which case if you're with a 5-year-old, maybe don't do that. So the father of the Ace family got in a lot of drama for this. Everyone on social media was livid, freaking out at him, being what a terrible influence. They lost a bunch of subscribers, a lot of things started happening, and this kind of made me start reflecting after this whole situation on family vloggers as a whole and kind of the dangers of what family vloggers are. Now, at the end of 2018, I did a collaboration with my friend here on YouTube, Dishwashing Liquid, who I absolutely love, and we did a who to stan and not stan video in 2019. And in that video, I briefly mentioned why I dislike family vloggers and why I felt this way for a while. But the situation with the Ace family made me think about it on an even further level, and I wanted to open a discussion to you guys about how you feel about families making their children be on camera from very young ages when realistically they can't consent to be on camera, documenting their whole lives and making money from it, and that's how they provide their entire income. I read a really interesting article the other day. It was about a mommy blogger. So she wasn't a vlogger, she wrote blogs, And it was basically about, she's always documented her children growing up through her blog, and she has a lot of people who like follow her. She makes her salary doing this basically. But her daughter turned 9 years old, and she's been documenting her life since she was born, I'm pretty sure. Daughter turned 9, she found the blog, and she was upset. She was like, it's not fair that you're posting these pictures of me. It's not fair, you know, that you're telling these stories about me to strangers. And her daughter was embarrassed because she was telling stories about like her potty training experience with her daughter, and you know, stuff that, you know, if I were an adult now and I had stuff like that about me from when I was a kid on the internet, I would definitely like not be chill with that. But what really got me is when the girl told the mother, she said, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I don't want you documenting it anymore. The girl told her mom that she didn't want to be on the blog anymore. The mom said no. The mom said she was still going to talk about her daughter in her blog. She said it wouldn't be fair for her to have to end her blog just because her daughter didn't want her to do it anymore. And she said, as a mother, you're expected to give everything in exchange for your children's happiness, and I'm unwilling to do that. Like, I'm not gonna fall into that stereotype that you have to give, which in a way I understand. Like, I understand that mothers should not be expected to give up their entire lives for their families. I get that notion. I don't think every mother should be expected to not work. I don't think mothers should be shamed for working full-time jobs while having children. I don't think mothers should be shamed for going out on a night on the town just to like have a break from their family. Like, I don't think mothers should be shamed for that type of stuff. However, her daughter was not saying you can't write on your blog anymore. You can't ever write a blog post ever again. Her daughter was saying, I don't want to be a part of this blog anymore. I don't want to be doing this anymore. Don't write about me. She wasn't saying you can't write. She was saying, please don't write about me anymore because I don't want to be written about. At a certain point, you have to start respecting your kids' wishes. Like, I think in the coming years, we're gonna see a lot of that with these kids that are on these family channels right now. I think in the coming years, we're gonna see a lot of kids coming forward and saying, I didn't want to have my first time peeing on a toilet be documented. I think we're gonna come forward and have a lot of kids saying, I didn't want those embarrassing moments of me on the internet for everyone to see forever. Like, I really think that's gonna happen. And what worries me about situations like that mom with a blog who wouldn't respect her daughter's wishes is, at this point, these families are making millions and millions of dollars off of their children because their kids are still willing to cooperate. So what happens when their kid won't cooperate? What happens when their kid not wanting to participate causes them to lose millions of dollars? How are these families going to react? When you make your family a brand and a business, and those kids are at such a young age that they can't consent to be being a part of that business, how are you going to deal with things when it gets older? There are no regulations in place that allow children to have a voice when it comes to this type of stuff. Kids are expected and told to do what their parents want them to do. And I think at what point when it comes to family vlogging is that an extremely dangerous mindset to have? Now, putting all of that aside, putting aside the obvious issues, which is like the rights of children, financial compensation for the work that the kids are doing, if they're getting paid for what they're doing, if the kids actually want to be on camera, if they're being forced, what happens when the kids don't want to be on camera, what happens when the parents are still trying to make them. Like, besides all of those things, the other big problem I see is take a look at your favorite vloggers, even not the daily vloggers, but just vloggers in general, and what their content looks like. A lot of their content is manufactured drama. They have to manufacture at least some sort of excitement or drama because nobody's day-to-day life is that interesting. Nobody's is. They have to manufacture things that would be interesting for a viewer to watch, or nobody would watch them. No family's day-to-day life is all that interesting enough that people would want to watch it. It's pretty boring, honestly. Everyone's day-to-day life is pretty dull. So my fear and concern is family vloggers trying to content and having to try to have content, having to try to fill time so it's not boring for people. And so normal vloggers who don't have kids, what they might do is they might go to like a music festival, they might plan vacations. There are like travel vloggers who travel the world to make things interesting. There are people who do crazy stunts and crazy things. And then I think for family vloggers, it can go one of two ways. I think they can do it in a sort of, we're kind of a boring family. I see family vloggers doing challenges a lot, where especially with like young girls and makeup, they'll be like, oh, unlimited Sephora challenge. And they'll bring their daughter to Sephora and let her pick out a bunch of makeup. And those things are kind of harmless, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. But then you have the families that want to go for like super, super interesting. Like they want to be fascinating. And that's how you get situations like Daddy05, who was if you don't know who they are, this was kind of old tea, I guess. This happened a couple of years ago. But a family vlogging channel named Daddy05. It was this man and this wife vlogging 5 children and the kind of crazy antics, and they decided to make their channel more interesting. They were going to start doing pranks on each other. And very quickly, the pranks turned into a toxic situation that resulted in abuse of some of the kids, and psychologically and physically, and also resulted in 2 of the children being taken out of the home because it was such a toxic situation. And the thing that worries me is in those videos on that channel, you can hear the dad be like, oh, if you just do X, Y, and Z, I'll buy you a new Xbox, I'll buy you this. Like enticing the children to do things that might be silly or make them embarrassed or hurt their feelings or psychologically hurt them, and kind of being like, oh, well, it's fine because at the end of this, you're going to get an Xbox. And I'm like, is this what's happening to all people? And then that kind of brings me back to the Ace family, where they have to keep things interesting. They're the biggest family vlogging channel on YouTube, and they need to keep things interesting. They have to keep content interesting and fresh. And when you're forced, we've seen it with so many vloggers, like we've seen it time and time again with people like Logan and Jake Paul, all these other vloggers that get so caught up in making content that they forget that they're real human beings. And I think the situation with the Ace family with the penis lollipop is a perfect example of that. A perfect example of somebody getting so caught up. And this was on a Snapchat story. This wasn't even in their vlog. Like a person who is so caught up in producing content of all forms that they don't see an obvious wrong with doing something like buying a child a lollipop that is shaped like a penis and posting it on your Instagram or on your Snapchat stories or Instagram stories or whatever. And that's what scares me. The reason it scares me is because when it's people like Logan Paul who does something horrible like what he did in the Japanese forest, at the end of the day, him doing that, him doing those stupid out of touch with reality things only hurt him. They don't hurt kids. They don't potentially traumatize children. They don't damage children's psyche. They don't hurt children. Like what he did only really hurts himself. And so then you have the situation of like possibly damaging children and possibly causing harm to children should not be acceptable in our society. It just shouldn't be. Using your children to make a paycheck isn't healthy. It's not a healthy thing to do. Mixing your family and making your family and your children your number one money maker. We've seen it with like child stars time and time again, the dangerous effects and the damages that it can have on kids who are thrust into the spotlight way too early. At the end of the day, I'm not naive to the fact that this will not stop. Like family vlogging is not something that's just going to end just because I don't like it. But what I would love to see are laws and legislation that help protect the kids that are under these families. Make sure they're not working more hours than they should be. Make sure they're getting money put aside that's going to go to them. Make sure that if they want to stop, they're well within their rights to not have to do something they don't want to do. Make sure they have a say over if eventually they want to take a video down because they find it embarrassing. Make sure they're allowed to do that. Content that they are in, they should get a say in what happens to that content. Just the same way that when kids in Hollywood started getting a lot of mistreatment, we evolved our laws to fit that. I think because of the sudden surge in the past few years of the internet, family vloggers, and YouTube and all of that, we need to change and adapt our laws to help protect these kids too, because right now there's nothing protecting them. Nothing. I don't want this video to seem like I'm saying all family vlogging channels are bad or terrible or doing something wrong. I know there are plenty that are just filming their lives as parents and it's a different type of situation, but I think that a lot of family vlogging channels have the potential to turn into something dangerous, and that's where we need to talk about things, regulate things. YouTube needs to be making stricter guidelines against family vlogging channels to protect these kids, because while there's like 500 that I'm sure are perfectly fine, even if there's just one that's bad and is hurting a child, that needs to stop and that shouldn't be happening. So yeah, that's my video for today. I know this wasn't super like a weekly roundup, but there wasn't a lot for me to talk about, and this has been bugging me. The whole children being exploited thing has just been bothering me. So yeah, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. I'm honestly just so happy you're watching me. Thank you for being here. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!